Hello and welcome. Today I'm in a match where I'm in the new German battleship, the Scharnhorst. She is a tier 7 battleship, but I would really call her a light battleship. Reasons that I will explain later. At the end of the video I will also show you guys her stats in the port and talk about what I think about them. So in this match I'm using the following modules: main armaments modification 1, which is the main battery health module, then aiming systems modification 1, which is the dispersion module, then damage control system modification 1 and 2, which are one lowers the amount of fires and the other lowers the fire duration. And these are the commander skills I use. It's a full secondary build: basics of survivability, expert marksman, superintendent, advanced firing training, manual secondaries, and basic firing training. That's the order in which I take them as well. So the Scharnhorst is also, that was a very nice shot, a rather lucky citadel. So the reason why I would call the Scharnhorst a so-called light battleship is because her guns are lower caliber. Her guns are 283 millimeters, I think. I could be wrong, but they are low calibers, a lot lower than even, well, the Kawachi, I guess. The upside is that her reload is a lot shorter. Her guns turn nicely, like the Tirpitz. She has torpedoes, like the Tirpitz. She has 9 guns, I guess, so that's one more. 2 at the front, 1 at the back. Her armor seems to be very similar to the Tirpitz as well. I don't exactly know whether she has the turtleback armor, which means that, you know, citadeling is hard when you broadside, because I never really found out. Like, people just generally don't seem to citadel all that much. But she does take quite a bit of damage from all kinds of things. The biggest issue with the ship I have is that, well, her caliber is low, yet she is still very similar to a battleship. Which means that you don't overmatch, well, armor targets as easily. Overmatch is when your shell caliber is so high that regardless of the angle, the shells would penetrate anyway. Like, for instance, Yamato will overmatch other tier 10 battleships from the front, because other tier 10 battleships have only 32 millimeters of armor. The similar thing happens at tier 7 in other battleships. For instance, the Nagato and Colorado both have 400 and something, like I think one is 406 and the other is 410 millimeters, something like that. But they have like 25 millimeters of armor, which means that those guns just overmatch them at pretty much any angle. And like, look at this, like those shells were pretty much on point, but it was still a few penetrations. And I've had many times where I simply bounce shells off the sides of cruisers. So I think the Scharnhorst is going to have quite a lot of... I guess some people will like it, others won't. I don't really know how I feel about it. I think it's fine, because usually tier 7 ships aren't very good, so... I feel like Scharnhorst is a lot better than the average tier 7 ship, because, you know, tier 7 ships are like, what are they? Hatsuharu, Pepsi Cola, like, those kinds of ships usually aren't considered very good. Although I guess the Błyskawica is excellent. And so is the Flint. But then again, the Flint is a bit special. Anyways, on to the match. I've been talking quite a bit about the ship. Because the ship is, well, still a battleship, well, the HP she has isn't very high for a tier 7 one. Her armor is still very good, so if you angle nicely, well, a Nagato tends to not hit you very hard. I don't want to go into that cap because of the Minakaze, and I mean, I can't really do all that much about her. I just want to make sure that the Minakaze can't come and torpedo me. I will try to be here, take a shot, and then move away, so that if the Minakaze did drop torpedoes through the middle here, they won't hit me. I don't actually know if a secondary build is good on this ship, because, you know, you have torpedoes anyway, so it tends to not be that great, especially because the secondary range isn't as good. But it's the best German battleship captain I had, so I guess that's what I have to deal with. I'm really lucky that the Minakaze shot her torpedoes on the other side. I was afraid that the Minakaze would come around the corner and torpedo me. But fortunately, or unfortunately for that friendly DD, I believe it's a Nicholas, I was saved, but she was not. So, at this point, the Minakaze, which was the main threat why I didn't want to go into this cap, is lost. Now I don't mind going. I will go straight for this Nagato. I will be dealing almost no damage with my guns. From the front anyway, but what I will do is I will sail close to the Nagato and then just torpedo him. And, well, you know, if I get close enough I can also do a very well angled short range citadel hit, but until then I will simply just be shooting other targets like this Pepsi, because there's no point in hitting the Nagato for like 2000 or 1000 damage when I'm going to be killing him anyway with torpedoes. If you want to think about it, these torpedoes might quite kill her. So I guess it depends. I just hope I don't get rammed by her, so I fire my aim higher. I don't want his guns to be active, because, you know. Look at this, look at this, look at where I fired my torpedoes. I'm an idiot. I completely missed him. I could have hit all three, but I messed up the aim. But anyways, I still hit 2 of those torpedoes, so it's okay. And, well, my teammates saved me. I think I would have been fine, because the Scharnhorst is incredibly maneuverable, and her guns turn very quickly. So this Pepsi is so very dead. Like, you're at 2 kilometers from a battleship, showing broadside. You're going to die. Although the secondaries were rather useful here. What I planned on doing against the Nagato was just turn my ship around and then, well, kill him with my guns. Because if she's still showing broadside, these guns will definitely penetrate another battleship for citadel hits. Unfortunately, it seems the planes are going to come for me. That's going to be a bit annoying, but I should be more or less fine, because this ship is maneuverable, and the anti-air isn't very bad. She is, like, she has the anti-air that the Tirpitz has as well, which means that almost all of the anti-air is focused on the long-range anti-air instead of the shorter-range ones. I think. I'm not 100% certain. You'll see at the end of the video when I'll check the stats. I kinda screwed up on this one. I took 3 torpedoes. This was my mistake. The carrier player seems to be doing it well. He tries to dot stack me, but unfortunately for him, I don't have damage control party available anyway, so I couldn't have wasted it here. I'm going to use heal immediately when it's up, because I am afraid that I might just die to the dive bomber attack if I spend too long on it. And then once the drop hits, I'm just gonna repair. Unfortunately, the dive bomber took out my float plane. I'm gonna use the damage control party, because I think the dive bombers were already locked in, so that even if they set me on fire, it would have happened during the damage control party, so it would have been repaired anyway. So, at this point we're pretty far ahead. But it's still only 6 versus 4, so it's kind of possible for the enemy team to turn this around. The game has only lasted 9 minutes and 30 seconds so far, yet I have 122,000 damage done. Although, to be fair, I was rather lucky in this match, because, well, you generally don't have circumstances that are disadvantageous. Oh wow, a Myoko shows up at 10 kilometers, showing full broadside. Yeah, you are so dead. Oh, wow, never mind. Never mind. That wasn't even enough to kill her, but I mean, she only has 1000 HP now. And goodbye. Oh, of course the last hit is a citadel hit. Of course it is. This fire shouldn't be able to kill me. And now it's time to finish that Königsberg. I do hope I get to kill this Königsberg, because I have 4 kills. that could put me up to 5, so that would be a nice delicious Kraken Unleashed. The shells are also fairly fast, although I don't know if my current aim is on point, but they shouldn't be too far off. Oh, yeah, they were definitely on point. Also, because the caliber is lowered, the damage done by the shell is a lot lower. Like, I have 7 Citadel hits, but each Citadel does like 7,000 damage, unlike, you know, a lot of the other battleships, which is much, much higher. I think one of the big points where people will have issue with the Scharnhorst is that, well, the caliber is low, so you would think that firing HE might not be a bad idea. But it turns out that the Scharnhorst's HE is rather weak, like the fire chance is 20%, which compared to like Senjo or Zhao, that one's like 19, and it's a cruiser with like a lot faster reload. And it's not like something like the Myoko is much far behind. Come on! Oh my god! What the hell? How is that Königsberg not dead? Oh my god, the game's going to end before I get the finisher. No! Damn! This clock, the timer... The clock is a Kraken thief. 1500 HP. I'm 3 seconds off reload. Damn. Ah, which is sad. But I got 750,000 credits, 149,000 damage, close quarters expert, dreadnought, high caliber, and confederate. No Kraken because the clock is a thief. 95 secondary shell hits. 95. 7 citadels is a really good result in this ship. 2,842 base experience. I think that, yeah, this is definitely the best Scharnhorst game I've had during the testing, especially because it was only a 12-minute match. Look at this. Secondaries actually did almost 19,000 damage. Like, that's as much as my torpedoes in this match. I took a fair amount of damage as well. So the match itself was very good, and I would say that this was a fairly optimal match for the Scharnhorst. Because if you're against like Amagis, it gets a bit more annoying. So what do I think about the Scharnhorst? Well, I only played like a handful of games with her. I averaged around 90,000 damage with all the games together, and I got like 2 point something kills per match on average. But the main thing is that I think she is fine as a premium. Like she isn't very strong, but she is good enough. She fills a role that other ships don't necessarily fill, which premium ships apparently are going to be doing, because think about it, there is no battleship like the Tirpitz or a cruiser like the Kutuzov, so in that sense the Scharnhorst is exactly on point. So let's look at the stats. This is what the ship looks like in the port. These are with the flags I usually use, which is this shouldn't affect the stats. So let's look at the modules she gets first. Everything is standard here though. Like, there is no special modules like US battleships get like a range module in the second slot and don't get a dispersion module here. Everything on here is normal, and in terms of consumables at tier 7 on this, everything is normal as well. She gets both the float plane, the catapult fighter, and the spotting plane. So in terms of stats, her survivability, she has 56,300 HP. Her armor is very similar to other tier 7 battleships. She uses the similar to the well, her frontal armor is weak, is what I'm trying to say, just like the Nagato and the Colorado. The torpedo defense system is also fairly weak, 24%. So her guns, they are nine barrels, 283 millimeters. HE does 3200 damage and 20% fire chance. AP does 7600 damage. And the range is 19.9 kilometers. The shells are fairly fast, so the guns are really good. Also, they turn very, very well. But the dispersion is mediocre, because if you think about it, the Scharnhorst has 19.9 kilometer range, maximum dispersion is 242 meters. This is comparable to a Yamato at 26 kilometers, so the dispersion is pretty poor actually. Which I guess is fine, because she has 9 guns to fire at an enemy. So secondary armament, 6.6 kilometers, this is with secondary upgrades and the flag. But I don't use the main secondary module, which would give 20%, so this could get a bit higher, but honestly, this ship itself isn't really worth secondary upgrades. So this isn't really for her, the captain, but this is what I had available and this is what you saw in the match, so that's why I'm showing it. But I guess you could consider this fine, because at tier 6, no other battleship is something comparable either. So the torpedoes on her are 3 torpedoes per side, and they are 6 kilometers, similar speed to the Tirpitz, and well, they deal 13,700 damage each. Anti-air wise, the main anti-air is in the long range one, which is 4.5 kilometers if you don't have a AFT. 128 damage, which is very good, because the Tirpitz is something similar for the long range anti-air, but the Tirpitz is a tier higher. The mid-range AA is 23 damage, and the short-range AA is a total of 66, so the anti-air is actually fairly good on the ship, especially for tier 7. Maneuverability-wise, turning circle of 800 meters only, and a rudder shift time of 14.5 seconds. So she isn't as nimble as many of the cruisers, especially the tier 7 ones, like a Miyoko has like 5.8 seconds or 7 or something like that, rudder shift time. But this one might actually have a better turning circle, I think. I mean, let's check. Hagura, 780, okay, never mind. Her turning circle is similar, I guess. And concealment-wise, 15.2 kilometers. See detectability range. The Tirpitz is going to be, well, potentially at least, better concealed, because she has this extra slot here where you can, you know, install the 2 million module, which reduces detectability by 10%, and that's something the Tirpitz has over this ship. So, like, I think she is perfectly fine at tier 7. She is situational a bit. She isn't very, you know, you don't say that this ship is very good. Like, I would definitely place the Tirpitz above her tier by tier in power level. But she is fine. She isn't a bad ship. And I definitely enjoy playing her quite a bit. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I would like to thank the Patreons on Patreon. This time, let's pick a name, Jacob Klink. Thank you very much for your continued support, and this was the Scharnhorst. I also have some other videos of her in the future, but there's a limit to them.